I was just scrolling through Twitter the other day, and I saw the most outrageous piece of Toronto Raptors propaganda that I had to talk about it on stream today and for today's clip. So, just casually scrolling through my Twitter, and I see a tweet from this guy right here. Now, nothing against him whatsoever. He's verified, so I feel like I'm able to share his information. Raptors fan, Bleacher Report writer, so you know something crazy is about to happen. Apparently, okay, the Scotty Barnes guy, I don't know if this means he's a Raptors fan. Granted, I didn't look much up on him, but it seems like possibly likes the Raptors, okay? Anyways, this was a tweet. I'll pose this to you. It says, is it a hot take to say I'd rather have Gary Trent Jr. on this version of the Raptors roster over Donovan Mitchell? To which I would say, yes. This is a hot take to say. Which it is. Donovan Mitchell is, at the very least, a borderline superstar who is able to elevate his game to the playoffs. Not just maintain his level for playoff performances. He's able to elevate his level for playoff performances. Like superstar level in these playoff performances. Like Donovan Mitchell averaged 26 points per game on 45-35 shooting and 85% from the line with 5 assists. Like, that is ridiculous. And in the playoffs, in the bubble, he averaged 36 points per game in his first round series. The next year in 10 games, he averaged 32 points per game. This year, he's in only 6 games, 25 points per game. But still, that's very, very good for the playoffs, right? Like, he had a bad year, but it's small sample size. Like, we can attest to the fact that in 5 NBA seasons, he's averaged 28 points per game in the playoffs. Like, that is just absurd. Compared to, I love Gary Trent. He's a great player, but like these are just different levels. I'm sorry. Different levels. Now, the thought process that Chris Wilder is going with here is Donovan Mitchell's a bad defender. Raptors are all about defense. Gary Trent Jr. fits within the system better than Donovan Mitchell does. To which, he's right. Gary Trent fits within our system. But Donovan Mitchell is a player you alter the entire way the franchise is run to support and build around. Like that is the player you build around. So like 100%, I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over Gary Trent Jr. Like that's not negotiable. And then what I don't like is that he retracts in his point. So at 3 p.m. on June 6th, he says this. And then 23 minutes later, he replies with, I'm not suggesting Gary Trent's better than Donovan, but he's clearly a better defender. Like we know that. I mean more so the cost of what it would take to get Mitchell isn't worth it as opposed to the value Gary Trent can provide for now. That is not what you said, though. So I'm thinking he had 53 quote tweets to 1 retweet. Like, I guess it's not a ratio because, like, got more likes and quote tweets, but, like, that's pretty nuts. He got 53 quote tweets on this. You know what I mean? So that is not what you said. And I think he retracted on his point as a result of the backlash he got over this. But to suggest it's not a hot take to say, is it a hot take to say I'd rather have Gary Trent Jr. on the Raptors than Donovan Mitchell? Now, if you want to talk about the financial aspect of it, I'm still going to take Donovan Mitchell. I'm sorry to say. I'm still going to give Donovan Mitchell like the max, super max, whatever, to put him on my team. Like that is a player you do that for 100%. Sure, he's got to work on his defense, but Jesus Christ, like that just improves your ceiling as a team by so much. You absolutely have to take advantage of that and get Donovan Mitchell if you can. But we're not like, he's trying to factor into the context that he obviously did not state originally. Now he asked somebody else this, so I don't know 100% for the full context of this. But that was you posted the out of context tweet. So that is what you said. No retracting from that point. That is such a ludicrous thing to say. Like, oh man, I love Gary Trent Jr., but Donovan Mitchell is just on a complete other level as a basketball player right now, especially for somebody who's only, 25, 26 years old. Like that is somebody you absolutely take over Gary Trent Jr. That is somebody that, even though he doesn't fit within the Raptors system, whatever, there are some players who are just so good at basketball that you change your philosophy, you change your system to build around. And that player is Donovan Mitchell. And like, just looking at some of the other quote tweets here, everybody's like, everybody's like, this is crazy. Delete this. Raptors fans have brainworms. Astonishingly bad take. We know this. And, you know, this tweet actually kind of sums it up. The massive talent difference makes up for any fit differences. And that is 100% true for this. But beyond that, there's more tweets concerning the Raptors and the Jazz. Because, you know, there's been those Og Anunoby trade rumors. And I'm laughing because I looked at it. There's been these Og Anunoby trade rumors, and apparently the Utah Jazz want him. Apparently they might be looking to move Rudy Gobert to the Raptors to get Og Anunoby. So the Score capitalized on this and put out the tweet, "Who says no?" Me. I say no. Rudy Gobert, as good of a player that he might be, I find, you know, I've talked about it so much on Amateur, anything, YouTube, Twitch, whatever. As much as Rudy Gobert might be a good player, I feel like he kind of falters in the playoffs, especially for contract that he's on that I'm about to pull up. Rudy Gobert this year is going to make $38 million. Next year he's going to make $41 million. The year after that he's going to make $44 million. Then once you get through all of that, at 33 years old, he has a player option worth $46.5 million. You would have to be on something extremely strong to turn down $46.5 million at 33 years old. This, ladies and gentlemen, will be looked on as the worst contract in the NBA, unless somebody signs something else that doesn't exist yet. This will be the worst contract in the NBA in a few years. If somebody takes on this contract this offseason, they better make out like bandits and give away like next to nothing. So to tease, like, granted, the Score is obviously teasing this for engagement, which they succeeded with. No Raptors fan would want to do this whatsoever. Contract just doesn't make sense. But Gary Trent Jr. is not a better player for the Raptors than Donovan Mitchell. Ridiculous take. Og Anunoby over Rudy Gobert makes absolutely zero sense. So those are just a couple tweets that kind of triggered me over the week and had to talk about on Twitch. So thank you so much for watching, guys. That is the end for this clip. Be sure to like if you liked, subscribe for more, and just come check out the Twitch streams live on twitch.tv/amateursports. Live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Come hang out, chat basketball.